Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the shop. So today we have a K2 in the stand and we're going to look at tires and wheels today. So what we're looking for here is wheel wobble. Now as you can see, there's a slight wheel wobble here, but that is an acceptable level. So we're not going to have to concern ourselves with that. If you do have wheel wobble, it could be a number of factors. Well, probably one of three mostly. It could be that the tire is not seated correctly onto the rim. And I'll show you how to find that out. It could also be if you grab a hold of your handlebars so your wheel is sturdy and just move the wheel side to side this way. If there's play, then it's a hub issue. And if you look down here right beside the brake pad, and you spin your wheel and you follow your rim, the distance between the brake pad and the contact surface of the rim will let you know if your wheel is true or out of true. And I'll go into that a little bit more detail here in a minute. So in order to find out if your tire is seated correctly on the rim, you've got your rim right here. Okay, and then right here there's a little line. There's a line there, just below the 26 by 2.1. You see that line right there, and then it goes a little bit ribbed. So that line has to be even distance between the edge of the rim and the line, all the way around the tire. So if you spin your tire slowly, you'll see this one. This one is good. If that line disappears into the rim, then all you have to do is take the air out of your tires. Just play with the area, pull it out, and then reinflate your tires, and just repeat the process until you get the even distance between the line and the rim all the way around the tire. That means your tire is seated correctly. Now the reason why that's important is if your tire is not seated correctly, it will give you that tire bounce feeling. Basically, if your tire is not seated right, it's going to wear unevenly, and it's just not right. So just make sure your tire is seated correctly. So here we're going to move into wheel trueness. So the distance between the brake pad, this is really hard to show you on the camera, but the difference between the brake pad and the rim, you see that angle there, and when I turn the wheel, sorry about this. This is not ideal, but it's the only way I can show you. You turn the wheel and the distance stays the same, then your wheel's true, and this one is true. So now, let's talk about the wheel, okay? What makes up the wheel? Well, the hub, the center part of the wheel is called the hub. And then inside the hub, there's an axle. And this happens to be a quick release axle. So the majority of the bikes out there are either going to have bolt-on axle or quick release axle. There's other bikes out there, more expensive ones, that have a maxle or a through axle kind of deal. But we're going to deal with the bolt-on and the quick release, okay? So basically a quick release is just what it says. You undo the brake arms, you drop the quick release lever down, you unscrew it a little bit, and then you can just pull the wheel off. With the bolt on, you got to undo the bolts, release the brake arms, put the bolts and the washers aside, and then drop the wheel down out of the fork if you need to take the wheel off. Then we have the spokes. Spokes are extremely important to keep your wheel straight and true. Also, spokes are essential for the stiffness of the wheel. So when you're checking the wheel, you're going to check the spoke tension. Okay, so on this side and the other side, what you do is you just take 2 spokes at a time between your thumb and your index finger and just lightly squeeze them together. They should be tight. They should have a little bit of give, but tight, right? If you feel one or more with more give, then you need to check. Then you need to check if you have a broken spoke. You're just going to look at the hub flange here and see if you have any broken spokes on both sides. So right now I'm checking the drive side, and when I say drive side, it means that all the drivetrain is on that side, the chain and everything like that. That's the drive side. Non-drive side is obviously the other side with the no chain or anything. So we're checking the spokes. This one is all nice and true and tight. The tension on the spokes is where it should be, and I know that too because the wheel is perfectly true. Inspect these down here are called spoke nipples. These are what hold the spokes to the rim of the wheel. So these you're just going to check, just visually check these, for rust and broken spokes down at this point also can happen. So you're just checking that. Then what you're going to do is check the actual wheel rim and making sure that there's no cracks or dents or bends or anything like that. Cracks, wheel's garbage, don't use it, don't ride it. It's not worth your life, or it's not worth getting injured. It's not worth getting injured over. You can get a new rim like this for like 70 or 80 bucks here in Canada anyway. So if you can find one. And then again, you're just going to check for that play back and forth this way on the wheel. If there's no play, you're good to go. If there's play, then you need a hub service, which we don't get into that in this series. This is just all about basic maintenance and basic tune-up. Checking your bike over if you notice these things that are happening, like truing the wheels need to be done. Your brakes will never work properly if your wheel's out of true. Also, if you have broken spokes or if you have loose spokes, I suggest taking that to a bike shop, getting it looked at, getting it dealt with properly. It's a little bit more involved. Last thing you're going to check on your wheels are the tires. So that is called dry rot. So basically, so you're looking for things on the tire like dry rot, most specifically. And this tire has quite a bit of it, but it's not severe. See, as you can see, those almost looks like little slits in the tire. Okay. So this tire does have it. There's some more. Oh, there's a whole bunch there. It's not the worst dry rot I've ever seen, but these tires will have to be changed. The sooner the better. And then you have to look at the tread, the actual knobs on the tire, which this one actually is perfectly fine. See, a lot of these bikes come in and they never get ridden. They get purchased and then they never hardly ever get ridden. So dry rot is the cause of just sitting around too much, and it literally dry rots. And then when you look at the tire tread and knobs and whatnot on the actual part of the tire that makes contact with the pavement or dirt or whatever you're riding on, there's no wear at all on these tires. You need new tires because of the dry rot, but not because of the wear. That's usually always what happens. Now we're looking down here to minimum and maximum. It says min/maximum. Recommended inflation pressure, 40 to 65 pounds per square inch. Okay? So when you're looking at this, I always inflate the tires to 40 or whatever the minimum pressure is, and then it's up to the customer to inflate more if they wish. However, between 40 and 50 on this kind of a bike with this kind of a tire with dry rot is going to be more than sufficient. Because this tire has dry rot, I would never inflate it to 65 psi. You'd probably blow out the tire. The last thing that you need to do is put air in the tire. So we're going to do this with a hand pump. I have a compressor, but in the interest of this video, it's supposed to be with tools you already have on hand. So if you don't have a bike pump, they're 20 bucks. You might even be able to find one cheaper than that if you go garage sailing. It's always handy to have one with a pressure gauge on the front or somewhere on the pump. And this tire is actually sitting at 21 psi. So I'm going to inflate this tire to 40 psi, which is the minimum pressure recommended. And like I say, I always go minimum and no more. You give the tire a squeeze and it's good, it's nice. Alright, so that's what you're looking for with your wheels and tires, and I hope you found this interesting and informative. Hopefully you're learning something on this series. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Thanks again for watching.